The Utah Jazz have been a disappointment for the last couple seasons. Even though they've had high seeding in the NBA playoffs, they've never had much success. For years, this team has had the assets and the talent to win an NBA title, but for some reason, they haven't been able to get it done. And it seems like year after year, they show us once again why they're never going to win an NBA title with the team they have. For me, I gave up on the Utah Jazz this season after they could not win a single game versus the Mavericks without Luka Doncic. And you could see in the post-game interview that Donovan Mitchell was just kind of sick of it at this point because it's been a continuing thing going on and there's nothing they can do about it. So because of the failure of the Utah Jazz, many people have speculated that Donovan Mitchell could be leaving very soon, and it seems like those claims could actually happen. Before we get into the video, only 38% of you guys that have been watching the videos lately are subscribed to the channel. Lately, I've been experimenting with editing the videos a lot better, so if you guys do enjoy it, make sure you guys do show your support by subscribing and also leaving a like on the video. Now, there was a report in the middle of the season that a lot of GMs had speculation that Donovan Mitchell would be the next league superstar to leave his team. Now, I quickly threw away that report because the team that was mentioned primarily was the New York Knicks, and for me, I was thinking that they just wanted the big market team to get the big market player, which to this day, Donovan Mitchell is still being linked to go to the New York Knicks. And while lately Utah made an interesting move that a lot of people are speculating, including myself, that this is going to be the reason why Donovan Mitchell leaves. It was reported the other day that Quinn Snyder stepped down as the Utah Jazz head coach. Let me just get this out of the way. I don't think Quinn Snyder was the main reason that this team just couldn't get it done. There were many problems with the Utah Jazz, and I don't doubt that, but I don't think Quinn Snyder was a part of it. In fact, I actually think he was a positive for the Jazz. Most of the problems, in my honest opinion, were just internal things that really us and the media and other people like that really couldn't speculate on. But regardless of that, Quinn Snyder stepped down, and now the Utah Jazz coaching situation is up for grabs. Reports came out the same day that Donovan Mitchell was surprised and disappointed about this, and a lot of people are now saying that this is going to be the reason why he leaves. Now, the thing is that I do see this as a possible positive for the Utah Jazz, because if you guys don't remember, last season Brad Stevens stepped down as the head coach of the Boston Celtics. However, he became the executive and president of basketball operations. And while the Boston Celtics were one of the best teams in the NBA, and they're currently fighting in the NBA Finals to win the title. So maybe Quinn Snyder is the guy, but just not at the head coach position. And I will say there's been nothing about Quinn Snyder being promoted or anything like that. And if I do remember correctly, I think Brad Stevens did announce he'd be becoming an executive the same day he stepped down. But maybe once they find a head coach, we'll get an announcement sooner than later. And also, maybe I'm just wrong. Maybe Quinn Snyder was the problem and the Utah Jazz will thrive with him not even there anymore. He's a good coach, but not all the best coaches fit with certain teams. Sometimes you need the perfect coach for the perfect team. However, it doesn't seem like the Jazz are going to have some success because there are many problems going on in the organization that I didn't talk about. As soon as the Jazz season ended, a lot of speculation came out that Rudy Gobert was going to leave, and some reports said that, oh, Rudy Gobert saying it's a mere him situation. I don't know how true that is. I know Rudy Gobert was very frustrated with his situation in Utah, but that was something that a lot of us already knew, but I'm not sure if he actually said it's either me or Donovan Mitchell, one of us have to leave. I still do think Rudy Gobert is going to leave the Jazz at the end of this finals run, and when the offseason just officially starts, I'm just not sure which team it's going to be. The most popular options I've seen have been the Dallas Mavericks and the Chicago Bulls for some reason, which I'm going to be honest, I think a Dallas Mavericks, Luka Doncic and Rudy Gobert led team would be pretty good, especially with the run they just came off of. The Bulls rumor, I'm still a little bit confused on, but let's just say it was something thrown in the air. So you have Rudy Gobert who wants to leave the Jazz, and might I mention, a lot during the playoffs he's being neglected, which I did make a video about where I made a lot of points about it. What's funny is right after that video came out, the Jazz finally started to pass to him, especially Donovan Mitchell, but by that time the series was practically over. Some people wanted to blame Rudy Gobert, saying he's an offensive liability, and while sometimes that is true, when you're not given an opportunity, it's really hard to judge someone off like 3 shots. Anyways, now with Rudy Gobert about to leave and now the possibility of Donovan Mitchell leaving, this Jazz team doesn't seem like it's gonna get any better anytime soon. And I think Donovan Mitchell realizes that, which could be a key reason why he wants to leave. But let's remember, remember, the Utah Jazz are in control of the situation right now, and so far they've rejected all trade offers revolving Donovan Mitchell. There was some rumor during the middle of the season that the Heat could get Donovan Mitchell, which would involve them trading Tyler Hero, but honestly, I don't think that's really that good of a trade. I just don't think Tyler Hero would honestly fit with Utah. On top of that, it really does depend on the other assets that each team was going to give each other. As of right now, the Jazz have said that they want to build a championship roster around Donovan Mitchell, but does Donovan Mitchell feel the same? Because while the team is in control right now, have you seen the amount of superstar players in the past 2 to 3 seasons that have practically just begged to be traded? At this point, any contract or max contract really does not mean you're going to be on that team for the amount of time you said. Any superstar player could simply just say they don't want to play for a team anymore, and if they start something on social media and start playing bad, then that team is going to be forced to trade them. Now, I'm not going to call a specific player, as I'm sure there have been many players to do this, even though one does kind of stick out because he's done it twice. Currently, Mitchell is on contract till 2026, however, we can clearly see that he's probably not going to last that long. I mean, his new contract literally started last season. So if Donovan Mitchell does want to leave, he's probably going to have to start stuff on social media, which again isn't out of the ordinary anymore. I know I talked about the Heat possibly being a team that he could be traded to, but the biggest team that I've seen linked to him is the New York Knicks. And would the New York Knicks be a team that Donovan Mitchell could be traded to? I'm not entirely sure. Unless Donovan Mitchell forces the Jazz to trade him there and the Jazz just have to accept that they're taking an L on this trade and take possibly nothing but cap space, then sure, I think a Donovan Mitchell to New York trade could possibly happen, but I just don't think New York has the assets to give Utah. I'm seeing one trade where the Jazz get Derrick Rose, Evan Fournier, and a bunch of draft picks, but other than that, I guess it's only cap space they're really getting and some decent first round picks. Honestly, I don't know if the Knicks are going to have the assets to get Mitchell, but I guess only time will tell, and you never really know. Donovan Mitchell is a very young player and he wants to win a championship like everyone else, and I've seen this man go through so much pain these past couple seasons trying to win a championship, but his team just hasn't been that good. A lot of people are starting this trend of giving up on the Utah Jazz because of this last series, and honestly, I'm a part of that group. I don't care how the Jazz do next season. I don't care if everyone comes back with Mitchell and Gobert and they somehow even get a third star and they're the #1 seed in the Western Conference. I'm picking them to lose in the first round. I'm never going to select the Utah Jazz to win anything unless it's being bad. They've been a joke and they haven't done anything to try to help Donovan Mitchell. I think he's a good player, there's no doubt in that, but I think Rudy Gobert is just not the fit that the Jazz need and they need to move on. But there's also the possibility that we're not exactly looking at, that this could just all be speculation, and that's all it is. Maybe the NBA media wants the big market player to go to the big market team. Maybe New York wants Mitchell so they can get New York Knicks basketball back. It wouldn't shock me if Mitchell does leave the Jazz. In fact, if I were to bet money on it, I'd probably say he's gonna leave either this season or next season, but the NBA finals aren't even over at the time of recording this, and there could be many things to come out in the offseason, so I guess we're just gonna have to wait and see. Watch this video on the screen right here if you want to see me go in depth about Rudy Gobert being neglected by the Utah Jazz.